It's infectious, the vibe. That is fabulous. It's just charming as hell. Passion. It's something I feel like we could all use a little bit more of in our daily lives. I know I certainly do. So live each day to its fullest, make it a little bit better than the last. Well, I recently heard a word, a Spanish word, duende. Now, duende has no direct translation into English, and it comes from a very particular part of the Spanish-speaking world, Andalusia in the south of Spain. Now, if you know anything about Spanish culture, you know it's renowned the world over for its passion, its dedication, its love of life. And duende is the Spanish term for that feeling. I think there's something to be learned from this duende. And so I find myself here in Granada, in Andalusia in the south of Spain, to try to find a little duende for myself.
Welcome to Granada. Draped in an earthen valley of rich green and golden sun, this ancient city is steeped in Andalusian culture. Home to nearly 250,000, its history is intertwined with that of the southern Iberian Peninsula on which it sits. Granada was the home of the last Islamic culture to hold land on the European continent, which means that in many ways it feels like as much a part of the Arabic world as it does the Western one. Exploring this city is a feast for the senses. The food, the music, and the architecture weave themselves together into a passionate tapestry of timeless and unique culture. It's a place that has it all from a visitor's perspective. Spectacular monuments, incredible cuisine, a rich history, and authentic experiences for days. Granada is divided into districts called barrios, and if you find yourself here, you'll likely begin your journey in the city's modern heart, Centro. Located, as its name would imply, in the center of Granada, Centro is the perfect hub from which to explore the rest of the city. It's also home to countless restaurants, hotels, and attractions, including Granada's Grand Cathedral. Built on the site of an Umayyad mosque that was torn down after the city was reclaimed by Spain in the early 16th century, this extraordinary chapel took nearly 200 years to build and is a striking example of Spanish Renaissance architecture. But while Centro is home to plenty of action, it's also rich with charming, quiet alleyways that are perfect for wandering.
The vibe in Centro is super, super relaxed during the day. It is definitely a great place for you to just walk, explore, relax, grab a coffee. You really feel the sort of pace of Spanish life. Everybody's sitting, everybody's relaxing, families are out spending time, enjoying the city. It's really, really neat. But one thing you want to keep in mind, and this applies to all of Spain if you are spending time here as a tourist, is the siesta. Now, siesta has a bit of a reputation around the world when people talk about Spain, where they think that, you know, all the businesses close and everybody goes home and goes to sleep for 3 or 4 hours. That's not actually true. What it actually is the time that businesses close so that they can eat lunch, sort of restock, regather for service in the evening. But do be aware, things do sort of tone down between about 2 and 5.
But that's not to say that there's any shortage of things to do in Centro during the afternoon. Heading northwest takes you to Carrera del Darro. Hugging the curves of the Darro River, this picturesque walking street sits at the base of the historic Albaicín district. And while it's another perfect place to stroll, shop, and enjoy, it's also a great spot to sit down for one of Spain's most iconic culinary experiences, tapas.
So what exactly are tapas? Well, tapas has become kind of a catch-all buzzword in the US for any restaurant that does small plates, right? Stuff that you can share. But in Spain, it's so much more than that. It's a huge fundamental part of their food culture. The tapas kind of works 2 different ways. There's a lot of bars where for every drink that you order, in my case, a bottle of local wine, you get a plate. You get something. It's really whatever the kitchen feels like sending. It's usually very small and very, very tasty. Now, if you're a light eater, you can actually get away with eating for free in a lot of cities in Spain just by doing tapas. You'll get pretty drunk, but that's what you're trying to do. But the other way that you can do tapas is, of course, they'll have a full menu and you can order lots and lots of different small plates designed for sharing and kind of do it that way. And that's exactly what we've done today. We're at a spot called La Tabernilla del Darro, which is right on the banks of the Darro River, one of the 4 rivers that Granada was founded around. And we have ordered a whole swath of delicious stuff, including jamón ibérico, the king of tapas. So I'm very excited to check it out.
After savoring our first few plates, which included artichoke stuffed with local manchego cheese, a delicious spread of eggs, crab meat, and fresh chives on rye toast, and a mind-blowingly fresh salad of heirloom tomato, onion, and tuna tossed in olive oil, it was finally time for the main event.
This magical substance is jamón ibérico, the king of tapas, and honestly, in a lot of ways, the king of Spanish ingredients. It is an entire leg of ham, aged and cured for months, sometimes even years, and it is renowned the world over for its deep, umami, salty, sweet, ultra porky flavor. And we are in its homeland. The texture, it's absolutely just melt in your mouth, massively deep, rich, umami, meaty, a little salty, fatty, just the feel in your mouth is just to die for. This is why we travel, is to do things like this. Oh my God. You know, I've got to say, of all the places we've been around the world, Spanish cuisine, there's just something so inspiring about it because it's not technique heavy. It's focused entirely on ingredients. Fresh, clean, simple, local ingredients. It's a style that I really, really appreciate and really sets it apart from a lot of other styles of cooking around the world.
But the amazing flavors of Granada weren't the only thing to blow our minds that afternoon. After lunch, we decided to stroll up the hill into the barrio of Albaicín. Beloved for its beautiful views, Moorish architecture, and cozy streets and stairways, this district is one of the city's most historic. And as we wandered in search of the perfect sunset vista, we stumbled on something even better.
So this is Mirador de San Nicolás in the heart of the Albaicín neighborhood, and it is an absolute must-do if you come to Granada. As you can see, it's a stunning overlook out over the city with incredible views of the Alhambra, but it's also an absolute party in the afternoons and evenings. There's flamenco, there's live music, tourists and locals alike just flock here, and it's straight up a party. It's an absolutely incredible time.
Set against the surreal backdrop of the Alhambra and lit by the golden rays of the falling sun, local flamenco dancers and musicians put on a spectacle I'll never forget. This, to me, is the essence of Granada, and was our first real glance at this elusive but ever-present feeling of duende. I get the feeling that these creative souls would be here pouring their hearts out with song and dance, whether there were 1,000 people watching or none at all.
You know, it's scenes like this that I feel like you can only find in places like Spain, places where the local community is just as passionate about their city as tourists are. They come out in droves, just like the tourists do, and create an atmosphere that's unlike anything else in the world. You can really feel the passion in the air. You can practically cut it with a knife. If you're looking for cultural authenticity, you really can't beat this.
After enjoying the show and a spectacular sunset, we made our way back down the hill, enjoying the relaxed buzz of Granada at dusk. But as we found ourselves back in the center of town, we realized that the muted evening vibes were just a slow, easy breath before the night truly began. After dark, Centro takes on a whole new vibe. The quiet and quaint back alleys of the day suddenly surge with activity. The Spanish are known for being night owls, and wandering the city as the moon rises shows you just how true that is. Things don't really get going until around 8, and even then, having dinner at 10 or 11 at night on a weekday is par for the course. But nighttime is just another opportunity to see the people of Granada's love for their city on full display.
Now this is Calle Recogidas, and it's one of the main roads that's going to take you through Centro. And as you can see, it's packed. The second you step into really anywhere in Centro, but particularly these main thoroughfares, you realize just how much these people absolutely love their city. It's infectious, the vibe. Everybody, young, old, all classes, all creeds, they're all out dining, drinking, having fun, talking, meeting up with their friends, just doing whatever, enjoying their city. It's such a rare thing to see that when you actually find a city that works this way, you can't help but just want to be a part of it.
Now, I'm noticing a common theme here, and it makes me wonder, how the hell do the Spanish get anything done? I don't mean that in a rude way. Honestly, I say it with envy. Spend the day strolling, playing music, eating amazing food, drinking great wine, then rest for a few hours and go out to do it all over again, just with twice the intensity. Where do I sign up?
It's just charming as hell. I mean, seriously, this whole vibe downtown in Centro is just charming as hell. I absolutely love it.
But as one inevitably does, we found ourselves hungry once more. We stepped into Gran Café Bibrambla for a solid presentation of croquettes, patatas bravas, and a delicious country paella. And for dessert, another local speciality.
These are churros, the original churros. Now, our friends in Mexico have sort of done their own thing with them over the years, but in the homeland, in the OG world where churros came from, this is what they look like. They're a little bit bigger, they're a little bit thicker, and every bit is delicious. No cinnamon sugar on these, but what they do come with is this stuff, which is sort of a strange cross between like a chocolate ganache and a hot chocolate. So it is technically drinkable in a very indulgent way, I guess you would say. But what you are meant to do is you are meant to dunk. Oh, look at that coverage. Ah, I love it. You dunk. Well, those should be illegal. I mean, it's sweet fried dough in chocolate sauce. What else do you need?
After an amazing day of living the good life Andalusian style, and what we were shocked to realize amounted to 2 bottles of wine, we were beat. So we headed back to our hotel for some much-needed sleep, and with good reason, because the next morning we had an early appointment for a lesson in living history.
So now, obviously, a huge part of the draw of a visit to Granada is its history, and it is indeed a very storied place in Andalusia. Now, it was originally settled by the Iberians in 600 BC, then the Romans showed up in 50 BC, in 780, the Umayyads showed up, and then, after some civil wars and a period of being ruled by a few different Berber tribes, the Nasrids came to be, and the greatest accomplishment of the Nasrids is the Alhambra.
The Alhambra has become an icon for Granada, and with good reason. Its rich past puts it at the focal point of Spanish and Moorish history. Construction on the complex that stands today began in the early 13th century, initiated by Muhammad I, the premier ruler of the Emirate of Granada. For the next 300 years, its massive stone walls protected the leaders and military strategists of the Nasrid dynasty. However, in 1492, the Emirates surrendered the complex and the rest of Granada to the royal court of Ferdinand and Isabella, which marked both the end of the last independent Muslim state in Western Europe and the conclusion of the 700-year Spanish Reconquista. One of the first acts of the Catholic monarchs at the Alhambra was to grant one Christopher Columbus the support of the Spanish crown to sail for the New World. Today, the Alhambra stands as one of Spain's most enduring tourist attractions and one of the most remarkable surviving examples of Islamic architecture in the world. The complex is divided into 3 main areas, connected by a sprawling ground of gardens and manicured paths. We started by making our way to the Al-Kazaba, a massive and imposing castle and fortress that sits at the tip of the hill. It's the oldest part of the Alhambra, and climbing among its weathered stone towers provides you with spectacular views out over the city. Working back towards the entrance, you'll pass by both the Nasrid palaces and the royal palace of Charles V, built after Ferdinand's rule ended in the early 1500s. A stroll to the other side of the grounds takes you to what was for us the Alhambra's most extraordinary feature, the breathtaking gardens of Generalife. The intricacy of the carvings in its many palatial structures has to be seen to be believed. The lush beauty of the gardens themselves was achieved by an ingenious network of irrigation troughs that ran throughout the complex, a staggering feat of engineering for its time. The Alhambra as a whole is extraordinarily well preserved and maintained with love and passion by the Spanish government, and wandering its many corners brings the history of the region to life in vivid detail. But half the fun is just walking and discovering its many hidden secrets for yourself.
So obviously, no trip to Granada would be complete without a visit to the Alhambra. It really is a spectacular place. It's also very, very touristy. So here's a couple of tips. Get here early. It opens at 8:30 in the morning, pretty much year-round, and that's the time to shoot for. Also, book your tickets online in advance. It's way, way, way faster to just go straight in than it is to stand in the line to actually buy tickets. Now, another good thing to know is that this is not necessarily an all-day excursion, unless you want to really really dig deep and read all the signs and learn everything, you can get through it in maybe 3 to 4 hours, maybe even a little bit less if you move at a good clip. So don't stress out if you can't get here first thing. You're still going to have an awesome time and more than likely see everything that you need to see.
Now, exploring a site of this magnitude is sure to work up an appetite. After leaving the Alhambra, we found ourselves a bit off the beaten track and in search of something delicious, a surefire combination that almost always leads to amazing things.
So now there are spectacular restaurants all over Granada, and this spot, Albanta, is actually a little bit off the beaten path. Now they have Spanish classics here, and we are going to check out a couple, croquetas, albondigas. They also sort of cast a slightly wider culinary net. In particular, we're going to try a North African dish called pastilla, which is a beautiful flaky pastry of chicken, lamb, super heavily seasoned. It's going to be delicious. The first time I had pastilla was in Morocco, in Marrakesh, and it was absolutely fantastic. Oh, beautifully flaky pastry. Oh yeah. And of course, it doesn't disappoint. Pastilla is such a cool dish because it's a total sweet savory. It tastes like a pastry when you first bite into it. You think, oh, croissant. You think flaky sweet. And then you get to the spiced meat, carrots, veggies. Oh my God. That is fabulous. Round 2 has arrived. The venerable and delectable croqueta. Now, not sure exactly how you would define croqueta, except for saying it is a fried ball of delicious stuff. I think that's really all you need to say. Oh, damn. Well, that's a delicious bite of food. Good Lord. Wow, those are really, really good. Okay, so you've got a beautiful, thick, cheesy sauce. It's rich beyond belief in the best way possible. The exterior is perfectly fried and crispy. Oh, that is heaven. Well, my definitely second glass of wine has arrived just in time for the finale of our meal, which is albondigas. Now, albondigas are another very traditional Spanish dish, and they are meatballs, but they typically include at least some amount of fish. Now, these in particular are...
Hang on. Hi, scruffy editor me from the future here. Now, I'm about to say that these albondigas are made with langoustine, because on the menu it said langostinos, and I made the assumption. Well, just goes to show you, don't ever assume anything. Langostinos in Spain are prawns. Now, being from the US, I'm used to Mexican Spanish, which is different from Spain Spanish. I'm used to prawns being called camarones. In Spain, they're called langostinos. Doesn't matter. I've done what I can to fix it. I don't think you guys will notice, but I just thought I would mention it just so you know. But anyways, sorry, back to the action.
Now, these in particular are
prawns.
And I believe we have a carrot puree, as well as a cashew sauce and some mint chimichurri. Spectacular flavor combination. Oh yeah, that's
prawns.
Man, just imagine the best
prawns
meatball you could possibly imagine, which I guess sounds maybe a little odd to the American palate, but trust me, it's fabulous.
Even after a morning of passionate exploration and an afternoon of fantastic food, we knew the day wasn't over just yet. We had one more thing to scratch off of our duende checklist. And after laying low until the sun set, we headed back into the hills of Granada to close out our time in the city with a bang. Or should I say, with a strum, a clap, and a thunderous olé.
Now, this is the Sacramonte neighborhood of Granada. Now, historically, this area has been associated with the Calle Roma people, also known as Gitanos locally. This is the Romani culture in Spain that's been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. Now, this area sits up above Granada in the hills, and it's a gorgeous place to wander around day or night. But we're here for one reason, and that is flamenco.
Few cultural traditions in the world can match the seductive intensity of flamenco. Birthed from the Gitano subculture that is called Andalusia, it's home for centuries. Its exotic harmonies, furious rhythms, and lightning-fast footwork strike at the very core of your soul. Flamenco at its purest has three elements. Toque, the guitar, played fingerstyle, weaving its way through complex melodies and chords. Palmas, the intricate clapping rhythms which set the tempo and feel. And of course, baile, the dancer, leading the ensemble with graceful ferocity. Traditionally, the performance is improvised, based around a cante or song form, which often includes lyrics meant to be sung by any and all in the room. Cries of joy ring out as dancers change places, showing each other up with increasingly intense and intricate steps and rhythms. The entire form blends into a fever dream of passion and expression, an intoxicating haze of raw emotion that is utterly inescapable. For one short hour of our lives, we huddled together on squat wooden chairs in an ancient cave carved into the hills of Granada and lived in this beautiful dream. And I couldn't imagine a better way to say farewell to this extraordinary city.
You know, when I was researching this trip, I came across this fantastic quote about duende, this Andalusian passion. And it said that it's something that everybody who comes here feels. It can't be explained by science or reason. You just come here and you get it. And I feel like I get it. Duende flows through Granada like water. Sometimes it's a trickle, sometimes it's a torrent, but it's ever present. I'm curious, if you've been to Granada before and you felt the same way, please jump in the comments and let me know. But whether it's the cuisine, the passion for simple, fresh ingredients, or flamenco, the energy of the music and the dancing, or just the conviviality of people out wandering and enjoying the city, tourists, locals, day, night, it doesn't matter. It's this love for life that just runs through the city. It's pretty incredible, and we've had a wonderful time here. I think I've certainly found a sense of duende for myself. And if you come to Granada, you might just find it for yourself too. To the fullest. Take it again. It's a passion for simple, beautiful, What? Wine, travel, tired. Get out of here, B. That's my fried camembert.
Prawns. 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 Prawns.